Good evening, everybody. Not the person you were probably expecting to be at the helm of this week's episode. My name is Brad. This is the Orange and Black Soccer Cast. Got a lot to discuss tonight, but let's go ahead and get started. Hello, everybody, once again. My name is Brad, as I said. Welcome to the Orange and Black Soccer Cast, the one and only soccer cast that talks about Orange County every week. You can tell I clearly do this, unlike our host Ray, who is out once again. Let's go ahead and meet our guest for this week. First up, we have from the CLC, Mr. Matt Elder. How are you doing, Matt?
Doing fantastic. How you doing today?
Not bad. You looking forward to a couple of amazing games this week?
Looking forward to a nice little week of soccer. We got a couple good games coming up. We got the end of other soccer happening, and it's all just going to be a great few weeks.
Exactly. Let's go ahead and bring on our next contributor this week. That would be Mr. Carlos, also from, I believe, the CLC, correct?
That is correct. Yeah. Good evening, guys. How's everyone doing?
Not
Carlitos.
bad. You looking forward to talking about some soccer this week?
I am. I'm excited for the Open Cup. I've been asking Blaine for a long time and other members of the CLC, like, hey, when are we finally going to play? And we're in the round of 32 this year. So I'm very much excited for tomorrow's game. And then we actually have a really tough matchup as well against an Eastern opponent this coming weekend. It's going to be a real test for our county boys. So we'll see how we do.
Look at Carlos already stealing my job, doing it better than I could this week. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about that first matchup. Carlos already said it's the Loudoun United match for the U.S. Open Cup round of 32. Orange County gets to come in a little bit late this year, given that we were second in the Western Conference. Four teams from the USL get started off a little bit later, and then a couple other teams from the MLS also come in during the stage. So, it looks like we got one more person. Dylan, did you get your mic working?
I sure hope I did. Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
Awesome. Well, let's backtrack a little bit, Dylan. Dylan, how are you doing this week?
I am so wonderful. I find myself in a foreign land, that being the state of Texas. So
I can only imagine what poor thing happened to bring you there. Dylan, you looking forward to a couple games this week? And since I have you talking, go ahead. And I'm just going to throw you immediately on the spot. What are you thinking about this game in Loudoun or against Loudoun?
I believe it's pronounced Loudon, and I know I've made the mistake of saying Loudon in the past. Yeah, with one weekend off from footy, I'm already missing it, and looking forward to kind of being back. Getting two will be nice, and I know this is maybe not the take that everybody else prefers, but having a kind of practice run at getting at Loudon in the league is more important, at least to me. And so I'm hoping this is a good place to figure out how they work beyond watching scouting film, and hopefully it's something that Orange County can, in an ideal world, do the double.
Awesome. So I'll go ahead and do my little bit of preview for this match before moving on to my other lovely co-host this week. This isn't the Loudon that you've been seeing over the last couple years, in my opinion. They've added some names that are actually quite familiar. One of those names you guys should recognize really well being Tommy McCabe, who signed this past offseason with Loudon United. Other names that you might know, let me bring back open the tab I had for them, would be Cristiano Francois, formerly of not El Paso, the Toros, and Reno 1868, and also, gosh, where is he? I'm already messing up my job. Mr. Zachary Ryan, a bunch of other names. Drew Skundrich has been bouncing around the league for quite a while. Their recent form looks like they've won a couple, lost a couple. I'll just go ahead and move on to you, Matt. What are your thoughts for this upcoming game?
I mean, it's one that we should win, especially at home. I'm gonna vehemently disagree with Dylan on this. For me, especially considering the changes, of course, with the cup this year and less of the we'll call them the big boys in it. It to me is just all the more chance to make a run, maybe get a couple cup sets, and to me, it's you're in every competition to win it, and this is one where we've got a USL championship under our belt. Love to add another trophy to the cabinet. So for me, I hope we. Having said that, I mean, I want us to take it seriously. On the other hand, I'm really excited to hopefully see maybe a couple players that we haven't seen, use it as a little opportunity to rotate, even though we didn't play last weekend. Love to see like Varjolo get a shot at a start. A couple other guys maybe given a run. So that'd be my kind of hopes for the match.
Awesome. Carlos, what are your initial thoughts about this game this upcoming tomorrow?
Yeah, I want to probably echo what Matt is saying. I think this year I'm excited for our club to actually make a run at the Cup. I think previously or historically we've not done well. We haven't really ever progressed far. And probably not, I don't know, I'm not going to say we haven't taken it seriously, but yeah, I want to echo, I want us to make a run at the Cup. It's the magic of the Cup. We're entering the Cup or entering the tournament later on, so there's less teams or less games to play going forward. So yeah, I'm really excited for it, and just given our opponent's record, it should, and we are at home, it should be hopefully a victory for us, and that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, Dylan, I'm going to have to go ahead and side with Matt and Carlos on this one. My reasoning is a little bit different on that. I think because Orange County over the past couple years have not really progressed beyond, I guess, the level of LAF or LA Force, only competition below Orange County. I'd like to see us advance on equal level, if not better. This is, I think, the first time we're facing a USL championship team as well in the Open Cup in quite some time. So I would love to see them move a little bit past on in this competition and onto whoever wins between the LAFC and Las Vegas game the following day. You got any rebuttal to that, Dylan?
No, I knew I would have I knew this would be the unpopular opinion on the show. And I'm sure somebody right now not watching live, so somebody a day from now is going to be like, what are you talking about? Screaming at the top of their lungs at their car as they're driving to work one morning, because I have said I'd rather do well in the league. But Matt's absolutely right. There is a cup. There's two cups if you count the Western Conference Final one. It's a little bit smaller, but it's still there. Why not do something different, and why not do something that hasn't been done since the 90s? I completely understand.
All right. And just giving all of our listeners a little bit of insight, in the last game that they had, Loudoun faced Richmond Kickers, a USL League One team, and they won that game on penalties with a final score of 0-0, winning 4-5 on penalties. Any final thoughts on this game, guys? I know we really didn't go too much into detail about Loudoun. I know for most of us, they're a little bit of an unknown in the league. Or not in the league, but to us, given that they're an Eastern Conference team.
Sometimes I think about the Wolverine meme where he's holding the photo, and I think about Tommy McCabe being in the photo, and I will say Tommy McCabe because I cannot see his nickname, or I cannot say his nickname on the show. Which isn't even a thought on the show, or it isn't even a shot on the match, but, good old Tommy McCabe.
All right, well, I guess we'll go ahead and move on to our next guest. I believe he's in the green room. There he is, Mr. Benton. I hope I'm saying that right. Newman, out of the Louisville. Benton, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you guys doing?
Great, man. Great.
Well,
all right, awesome. So Orange County plays on the road in Lynn Family Stadium this Saturday. First of all, I mean, it's quite a lovely stadium, isn't it? The league definitely, I don't want to say favors, but when you have a stadium like Lynn Family that gets packed with 12,000 plus people on game days. You have to show it off. What was it like having the CBS crews there, first of all?
That was awesome. That was a real special match. I mean, everybody showed up for it, and I mean everybody. Our fans were outstanding. I even got to give props to the indie fans that traveled for it. Everybody turned up for that big occasion, especially the Louisville City players, and they made the most out of the opportunity they got there. It was a really special day. That rivalry hasn't exactly had the bite I would have wanted to over the past few years in terms of Indy being on the same kind of level as Louisville City. But it'll be a top 10 match for kind of a long time because it was such like a marquee event.
Awesome. So obviously you're referring to the Lipa FC where, I mean, the league chose the right game. 5-3 final score, almost seemingly a goal every 10 minutes, a hat trick for Harris. Tell us a little bit about your guys' team. Who are we looking out for to score goals, and how is Louisville going to beat Orange County this upcoming Saturday if they were to do so?
Yeah, so this team is very dangerous, as you probably could have tell for any highlights you've seen or any stats you've seen on the team. They're just kind of scoring left and right and just kind of fully controlling these matches. Their one loss came by way of Charleston. It was a bad first half. They rebounded in the second half. Looking forward to leveling that one out. But, in terms of goal scorers, obviously, like you mentioned, Wilson Harris, he has a knack for finding the back of the net. He just came into this season very different, very hungry. And so it's been a lot of fun for us to watch. Ray Serrano has really kind of come into his own. Relatively younger player. He's only 21. And, I mean, he'd gotten some regular time over the past few seasons. But this year, he's really kind of taken it to the next level. Outstanding on the ball, but he can also, put some in the back of the net, too. I mean, we're getting them left and right. Taylor Davila has gotten a couple as well. I'm expecting Adrian Perez, somebody you're probably more familiar with, being a West Coast guy. I'm surprised he's not on the score sheet more, but he's still been very heavily involved in the attack. I mean, we have a pretty good setup right now, all things considered, especially with the likes of Brian Ownby missing in action.
All right, I got one more question before I pass it off to Dylan. Looking at Louisville's record this year, I mean, you can see it in the on-screen display that producer Andy put up. We see a lot of wins and then one blemish coming against the only team above you guys, Charleston Battery. What did Charleston do that made it so that Lou City had some difficulty in that game? And is it something you see Orange County being able to learn from themselves?
First off, as much as I hate to say it, Charleston's also an outstanding team, and they're having a hell of a season. We were coming off the heels. I think it was off our first Open Cup match. Not an excuse for it, but going away to Charleston is probably always going to be the hardest one on the schedule. In that first half, it's a game of inches, right? Like these very thin margins, especially with two teams at this caliber, and I think they came out and maybe were just a touch more hungry, and they were kind of exploiting some of these open spaces. But what's interesting now is expecting to see a real hot and angry Danny Cruz after that match. But he was really pleased with the response in the second half because they very much turned things around. It was one-way traffic in the first half. Several substitutions were made, and then the team started to look a lot more like what we've seen a lot this season. It's you got to bring your A game when you're playing Louisville City, especially when you're playing at home. So you guys will have to be up for the lengthy road trip, and I hope they're getting there a little bit early to get adjusted to the time change and whatnot, because every little factor makes a difference.
Benton, I would imagine that the humidity is probably a pretty massive part of that. But to speak about an initial player, and I do hope I'm saying his last name correctly. I know Elijah Winder made 30 odd appearances for you last year. And I think he's 21 now. What have you seen from him this year?
Yeah, it's a shame I haven't already mentioned his name. Elijah has been outstanding. He is our very first academy product. His brother, you might have heard, made headlines a season or two ago with his transfer to Benfica. Elijah had a setback a little bit earlier in his career. What was it, like 2 or so seasons ago? Had a real big injury. He was going to be a big role player, and then it was a slow getting back from that, where kind of towards the end of 2022 started to get his feet back under him. Last season was, I mean, we did make the Eastern Conference final, but in our terms, it felt like kind of a down season, a lot of inconsistencies. But this year, he's probably been the player to turn it up the most. He's been quietly excellent. He's gotten a couple goals, but he's not banging him at the frequency where he's getting the attention he deserves. He's doing a lot of the little dirty work sort of things in the midfield, and he's developing an outstanding pace. So really pleased with how he's developed and how he's doing this season, and hoping to see more from it. Always been a big fan of his.
Away from perhaps one player, that's not true. We've mentioned a whole bunch of players already for you, and Lou City seems kind of inevitable come Eastern Conference Finals every single season. Who is probably the one player that you would say over the last year or two that has been the most constant and the one that kind of sets that pace?
Most constant. That's a good question, because we've had some shakeups of some guys and whatnot. Wilson Harris has been really good. I don't think he quite was up to the level he wanted to last season. He was frustrated that he didn't quite hit his 50 career goals in the USL last season, but he's very much stepped it up. Elijah really wasn't bad last season either. I think we got fortunate to make the Eastern Conference Finals last season. It kind of seemed like, against the run of momentum, how the season had been going, a lot of start and stops. Again, we could not string to get any sort of win streaks. But this season, it seems like we have enough guys who are absolutely kind of dialed in, bought in with the game plan, that if somebody's having an off day, the others are going to step up. And I don't know that we quite had that last season. So I guess kind of indirectly answering your question, probably some of those names I'd answered previously, but it could be anybody turning up this year from what we've seen. It's been really awesome stuff. And I think a lot of that is, and I don't know how much film you guys have watched on Louisville City, we've started to lean a lot more into the back three formation, and that's been working wonders for us. It's been something Coach Cruz has been trying to work towards building the team to over the past few seasons, but it's really kind of culminated into what we're seeing now. And it's been really difficult for teams to handle, particularly I'm thinking of the Hartford match. They couldn't handle the width of 5 players in the midfield, and we were just absolutely exploiting that, and they really didn't have any answers.
Yeah, so I got a couple questions. I guess you kind of led a little bit into one, but looking at some of your results this year, have been some big heavy wins, and you guys are looking very good so far. What would you say is kind of the biggest difference? Is there anything style-wise, or whether it's players or whatever, that kind of makes a difference from being, obviously a good team last year, but kind of into what you started off with this year?
Yeah, I think there's a number of things. First off, I mentioned the formational element. Historically, we've had a lot of the 4-3-3 in the mix, and I think Coach Cruz was ready to fully embrace this kind of back three setup, which we'd only used intermittently in the past. Feel like he maybe had the right personnel to do that, make that kind of our main shape, if you will. Definitely a big factor there. The offseason roster changes. We lost some notable names. Think like Cameron Lancaster, like Oscar Jimenez, who's been there forever, guys like that. But the players we brought in have really been kind of like a match made in heaven for the system, right? Like you have somebody like Jake Morris, who's been working out outstandingly as kind of an outside back. Taylor Davila has been phenomenal in the midfield, and I think we really could have used a presence like his last season. They're definitely big factors, but one of the, I guess, biggest underlying factors is Coach Cruz is a big believer in the mentality side of things, and you can see it when these guys are playing this year, right? Like last year, I don't think that we got the same level of effort, intensity, and just hunger to go out there and win like we're seeing this season. So it's probably some merging of kind of those three things are probably the keys for success for Louisville City this year.
When you kind of maybe alluded a little bit to it with the Charleston kind of result and how that game went. I guess kind of what I'm looking at when I'm seeing what are our chances Saturday and where's something we can kind of, use to our advantage, and watching the Hartford highlights, you guys commit a lot of people forward, which I
Yep.
wonder, is that something maybe the coach is kind of like balls to the wall, like, hey, if we concede a couple on the break, so be it. We're going to score 6, if, kind of similar to what you saw in the Indy game, whatever, you can score 3, we'll score 5. I'm wondering, I guess, in some ways, my hopes would be that if Orange County can limit you guys and then hit you guys, like, a couple times on the break, or get a couple ourselves, that we could maybe squeeze out like a 3-2 or something like that, like Charleston did. But do you think that's kind of the mentality the coach goes with, of just like, we're just going to commit? I mean, I saw at some point you guys had like 7 people in the box, it looked like, on a couple of those goals. And I was like, Jesus, they're leaving themselves very open on the break, but maybe it's just kind of a suffocation tactic or whatever you want to call it.
No, I mean, you're totally right in their observation about how they've been playing like that. They totally are very aggressive with that. But I don't think it's so much kind of like, well, we're just going to outscore you sort of mentality. I think the coaching staff puts more emphasis probably on the defensive side than they do the offensive end of things. But that's probably one of the biggest areas of opportunity. But thus far, it's been very difficult for teams to kind of break that down. The back line has been very good about getting back. Our outside backs, they're just all over the pitch. I don't know how they do it. They are they're the keys to the whole system. And if they're not hustling up and down the pitch as needed, then the system doesn't work as designed. But so far, by and large, they've been able to make it do that. But if the team has studied their film and kind of, I guess, maybe understood the nuances of how some of these guys like line up and play and do in these positions, I think there's probably is an opportunity there, kind of just, catching them with too many guys forward. But, ideally you probably want to keep us in a position where we're not able to do that in the first place. I think that would, because if you're in that position, it almost feels like to an extent you're letting Louisville City play their game. And I feel like at least for other teams, that's been a real tough mountain to climb.
Yeah, and the last little bit for me on that is I'm hoping maybe that your little away trip against Seattle might be, hopefully you guys go for it and give us a little hope on, a tired team maybe coming out on Saturday and, not being quite at it.
That one's going to be really interesting. Obviously, they flew out. I think they flew out today or yesterday. I can't remember. To go out to Seattle away. They're definitely going to go for it. Like, this is as wide open as the U.S. Open Cup is going to be for any of us. Like, it's never going to be the a path of least resistance with so few MLS teams in the mix. Yeah. I mean, either the MLS teams are coming back in the mix or the tournament's dead. Those are the only way the story ends.
We'll keep it alive.
Yeah, I want it to stay alive. Trust me, I'm very much like that. But in terms of like winnability, seems like a golden chance for the USL to win it this year if it's going to be any year. So, and they all anyway, even like that factor aside, they have a go for it mentality. They want to win every competition they're going to be, and so I wouldn't expect any sort of heavy rotations or whatnot in the mix. But yeah, I mean, it'll be a tougher factor for us that we're coming from across the country, kind of like you guys are, and we'll have just played a match against the Seattle Sounders, a team I have a lot of respect for in the MLS. They're very well run, and I think they'll be going for it too. Maybe not fielding all their first team players, but so that will be a difficult one for us. I guess it's going to be nice that they'll be able to sleep in their own beds, be in their hometown, their own stadium, and whatnot. But yeah, I'm sure there'll be a little bit of hangover there, and not as much prep time as they might have otherwise liked to get ready for you all.
Awesome. Carlos, you got any questions for Benton?
Well, Matt kind of took him from me. I was curious what his thoughts were on, they have Seattle on Wednesday, a day after we play Loudoun. And Seattle's going to be a tough opponent. And then they're getting, one of the better sides on the Western Conference coming out to play. So I was just curious what his thoughts were. And if they were going to go for it. For him as a fan, I guess, I probably heard Matt and myself. We want us to do well in the Cup.
Yeah,
we really do. So I guess the question I'll ask is there anything about Orange County you're worried about? Recently we had Ethan Zubak score. So finally get on the score sheet, get that monkey off his back. And prior to that, we had a Mong score. So both our strikers scored. Is there something that Louisville worries about with Orange County? Or you see it from our team, is there a player or the way we play that you guys think we can catch you guys on?
I think my biggest concerns around this one are you guys are proving to be a good team and one we have not played a ton against, so we don't have as much of a body of work with the team personally going up against them. We've already kind of talked about the travel and midweek game factors as well. And, now we're starting to hit a point where the game film for our team's kind of system is, it's stacked up a little bit, like at the early season, it's still a little new, a little fresh. You have a smaller sample size to work with. And so one concern of mine is that, as time progresses, like, are we able to keep things fresh enough to keep opponents on their toes, or is the game plan that we have set up kind of, bulletproof enough where they can have all the film that they want? They're not going to be able to do anything about it. So, I don't know if it'll be this match. I don't know if it'll be late in the season or if at all. Just, but that's one thing I'm kind of keeping a side eye out. Oh, my favorite bourbon, I see it out on the screen.
Yeah,
I like Woodford Reserve Double Oak. That stuff is outstanding. Yeah, I mean, no, I don't know how difficult it is to get some of these different bourbons over your guys' way, but I mean, no reason to go bourbon hunting like that when you have something that great and outstanding available on the shelf. And are you guys making the trip out? Made up half.
I don't think so.
To Louisville, probably not, unless there's a final out there. I would say.
Yeah. We'll see you there in November.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. We wouldn't mind hosting the final.
So Benton, I guess that only leaves score predictions. What do you think the final score tally of this game will be?
I'm going to go with 3-2. I think our offense to Louisville City. I think Louisville City's offense keeps producing at a very high rate. Eventually, it's going to normalize, right? Like if you look at the averages right now, it's kind of silly. It's definitely going to come down. But I think there's multitude of factors we just spoke on, or part of the reasons why you guys are able to score 2 on us. But I'm expecting a close match. I do not think this is going to be a walk in the park by any sort of means, and this will be a really kind of good test. I mean, you look at some of the other teams we've played thus far, and not all of them have been super great. So I'm really interested to see how we do against some of these better teams.
All right, Carlos, what do you think?
Score prediction?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with a 1-1. And the biggest thing is I'm hoping, like, even though I think we've played well as a team, yet we still don't have everyone back, and our whole back line is still missing, or as far as we're not complete. I think we just got back Marcus McKean, so that's going to be a big addition. I don't know if he starts, and that's a tough ask, I think, based upon how well those players filling in for him have done. But I'm hoping we come away with at least a draw, so I'm just going to go with a 1-1 tie.
All right, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, this game feels a little bit like Unstoppable Force meets Inanimate Object when it comes to their goal scoring form and our defense. I mean, gun to my head, I'll probably say 3-2 Louisville, but I'll say 3-3 just with a little homerism in there.
Dylan.
I'm going to say 2-2 as a homer, but with as much respect as I can muster for the staff here at Orange County, don't see us going east and getting a result here.
All right, I'm gonna give the edge only to Louisville City just because they're a lot deeper of a team right now, and Orange County is still dealing with a couple injuries. Because you can pull a player like Sam Gleedle off your bench in the 80-somethingth minute. That's pretty good indication that your team's a really deep team. I'm gonna say 3-2 Louisville. As a homer, I want to say 3-3, but I just think Louisville is just a really, really good team right now.
Yeah, we've been fortunate. I'm thankful for that, but again, I think we're gonna have a good matchup on Saturday.
I agree. Looks like Kickball says Orange County 2-1, and Mike Jones also is going to say 2-1 with a wonderful nickname for Ethan, Zubakimovic. So, Benton, thanks a lot for joining us. You're welcome to stay around and talk to our next guest, Edison. However, I want to give you a chance before, if you do decide to go, because it is fairly late. Where can we find you and your media for Louisville?
Yeah, first off, I just want to say you guys do a really awesome thing here, so keep up the good work. You can find me on Twitter at Purple SDF. I do my writing at vamosmorados.com. Have a podcast. You can find the information on that there. And then I'm also, I do some work with the clubs. We have a radio show on ESPN here in Louisville. So I keep busy.
Awesome. Well,
Awesome.
thanks for joining us, Benton. If you wanted to stick around a little, you're more than welcome to. However, I think
it's late my way. I'm going to hop off.
All right. You have a good evening, sir. So I already alluded to him. Without further ado, I mean, I know he's hanging out in the green room. Let's go ahead and introduce our next guest, Mr. Edison LaCour. Am I saying it correct? Not liquor. LaCour?
not liquor. It is LaCour. Yes, thank you again for having me. Nice to be back. How's everybody doing?
Great.
Awesome.
Quite well.
Awesome.
So, I mean, if people haven't already recognized you by your look or by your voice, given the team's social media, go ahead and fill everybody in. What do you do for Orange County besides everything?
Well, it's certainly not everything, but thank you for the kind words. I am the Matchday production manager, the content and Matchday production manager. It's a bit of a mouthful for Orange County Soccer Club. So this is now my second year full time with the club. So I'm excited to be back. But what a lot of that details, with the day to day on the content side, I help cover the team. I got my master's in sports journalism from Arizona State University, which might make some of the UCLA stuff in my room, inverted camera, a little bit awkward, but that was where I got my undergrad degree. So that's, where I always hold close to my heart. But that's, kind of how I got my start. I was an intern with the club during my time there, and then came on part-time and now full-time. So on the content side, I kind of hang around the team and help cover our match day coverage and our pregame coverage and do things like that. We have now video previews that come before matches. I also write the written previews on the website. And we have a great team that help us with the editing and video, the videography. We got the best videographer in the USL in Irving Arvizu, who makes me look good on camera, which is not always the easiest job. But, he definitely does a lot of good work for us. He does a lot of the videos that we put out on social as well, from match day coverage to behind the scenes stuff. But we both kind of do that as well. So just any kind of content video with the guys, behind the scenes, match coverage, that's usually where I'm at. And then on the match day production side, when we're at home, I kind of help run the show from like a standpoint of the match day experience. So, help compile graphics, what goes up on the video board during the match. I do PA scripts for our lovely PA Jonathan, who's been on now for the past 2 seasons. He's great at his job, and just kind of help get the crowd engaged on a match day. And post match, we'll do some interviews with some players and coach on the field. So it's a lot of fun. I'm really, really enjoying it, getting to come back to Southern California and do what I love and be around a team that's just so much fun to work for. It's a blast.
Awesome. So, Edison, I guess my next question for you then. Obviously, you said that you were an intern when you were still in college, but what brought you to Orange County as a soccer fan? Was Orange County SC your first taste in soccer, or did you have a team or a following for it beforehand?
It was my first taste in soccer on the other side. So like I've been a soccer fan, growing up, but it was my first job in sports was as an intern for Orange County Soccer Club. And it was my first taste of being on this side of the industry. I had been a reporter for a couple of publications in Arizona, when I was covering high school sports and some stuff for ASU athletics. So I'd always kind of been on that like third party side of reporting. So this was definitely a bit of a different take, being in house. But it was one that I really came to enjoy. And I'm a Orange County boy through and through. I've lived here since I was about 5-6 years old. So I wanted to kind of be able to come back home and keep doing what I love to do. And Orange County was the perfect opportunity for that.
All right. So obviously you've kind of been involved heavily in the players' day-to-day operations at this point. Is there any specific player that you just love working with, that conversation's always good? Who's your favorite player to interview on the side?
Man, that's a good question. We got a lot of good guys who I know are always good for some good answers, some good content. Sofian has been one that's been a lot of fun to kind of get to know, with this being his first year with the club, and he's very outspoken. We've done his predictions, which have been very fun. He loves to try and predict what's going on in the world of soccer. I think he got both he got the Super Bowl video that we did. He got that correct. He got the NCAA March Madness, like almost identical. I think he said they were going to be up by 6 at half and win by 12, and they're up by 8 at half and they won by like 10 or something like that. So like scary close, which is really fun. Makes always, for some good times. As far as interviews go, I mean, Coach is a really good interview. He has a very nice balance of giving very thorough and thoughtful answers, but he also, it's not lost on him when to throw in a bit of humor, and he knows how to leverage that very well. But I'd say we got a lot of really good interviews, guys who are good interviews on the team, but those are two that stick out to me.
Edison, for you, favorite Orange County player in history and favorite Orange County match in history?
Oh, man. I'd probably say from what he did on the field, but also just his interactions, getting to work with on the side, and like behind the scenes, I'd say Karede Oshandina is one of my favorite players of all time. He was always very down to hang out and do content when we needed him to do something. He was someone that the fans always loved seeing as well. But he was always up for whatever, we might have needed him to come in and do. And he always did it with a smile on his face. What you saw on camera was what you got behind the scenes as well. And my favorite match, I mean, outside of the 2021 title game, because that just seems too easy. I'd say San Diego away last year was it was an incredible match to be at, and to see all of the CLC, make the drive down and fill up that section and, be louder than the San Diego fans down there. That was awesome. And of course, the match, getting a win down in Torero never hurts.
Beautiful. We'll keep it kind of quick fire with you. You're a local boy, so what's your favorite spot in Orange County to kind of hang out and grab a bite to eat?
Good question. I'd say I love Board and Brew. I've got a lot of people in the office on Board and Brew. That's definitely one of our go-to in-office lunch spots. But for after work, there's a local bar that me and my friends go to every week. It's called the Blind Pig in Rancho Santa Margarita. They got great food and drink specials on Thursdays. I know this is obviously footy, the beautiful game and everything, but I'm also in a American football fantasy league, and we all meet up Thursday for $6 beers at the Blind Pig, and it's definitely part of the weekly routine, and one of my favorite places to go for sure.
Wonderful. If we were to poll open whatever streaming service you listen to your music for, or if you download it locally, what would you be listening to?
Lately I've been listening to this Kendrick and Drake little rap battle that we've got flying back and forth. It's been very, very interesting. We've been deep diving, everybody's trying to find all the references and this and that. It's been very, very entertaining and has taken up a lot of the time it's been mainly on YouTube. I don't think any of them have hit the streaming services. Although, to answer your question, I am an Apple Music guy. But I'd say that that's definitely taken up the majority of my AirPods over the past couple of days.
I wish you the best of luck in hunting down exactly everything that's referenced, and please let us know because there's
I'll wait for somebody else to do it, and then I'll listen myself.
But you can take credit on that too. That's fine. One final one from me, Edison. We ask everybody. I know you know it's coming. What is your favorite vegetable, and how do you prepare it?
The last time I was on here, I think I said baby carrots. And I like to have them just with some ranch. I know you take something healthy and make it not healthy. But I'd say that probably, yeah. I'll stick to my guns on that one.
Matt, all you.
Oh man. I know you've done a couple of the trips so far, going away and stuff like that. What's your favorite stadium that you've gone to outside of ours?
Well, nothing beats the champ. We all know this. But I'd say in terms of stadium experience, I really like what Sacramento Republic do. They put on a good show up there. But I would say I haven't been there yet, but I alluded to this in the chat here. Irving and I will be making the trip out to Louisville this week. So I'm very excited to kind of see what they do. As I think you guys mentioned a bit earlier, they are one of the best in our league in, what they do, selling out their stadium and the match day experience. So it's always nice to go on the road and see, what other people do, like other people in my positions at other teams do to, kind of engage their fans. And, try and see if there are, anything that I can pick up on. That's definitely one thing that I've found myself doing, going to other local teams games, be it the Angels, the Ducks, those are two of my other favorite teams as well. And just I find myself watching their match day experience as well. And just like, oh, okay, like this is what they did here was pretty engaging. How can I incorporate that same concept and maybe put a little Orange County spin on it, coming back to the champ. So very excited to see how Louisville looks this weekend. And hopefully it'll look a little better with 3 points on the flight back home.
What have the Angels done that ever gave you that thought?
The game day experience side is not the on-field product. I'll just leave it at that. How about that?
Either one. I'm not sure how I'd answer that positively, but alrighty, I'll take your word for it.
All right, I hope you guys don't mind that I hop in. A couple things. You brought up the San Diego game as one of your favorites, and just made me think. Unfortunately, I missed that one.
Yeah, how was that game, Carlos?
I haven't missed many games, very big games. I was at the 2021 championship, but I missed that San Diego one. And so for you to bring that up, that hurt a little bit, but it's all right. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Another thing I'd like to say is the social media, I think, has been awesome lately, the past 2 years, 3 years, a lot better. It's cool to see those interviews you do with players and getting to see the other side of it. They're funny, the things they come up with. For you, who's one of the players that a lot of people are not seeing so much recently that you think you want to interview more because they do have that comedic factor or a great personality you think that would be good to show on the social media pages?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say a couple of the guys that we obviously we try and involve everybody. That's just what we do. We try and get everybody involved. But two guys that I've been quite happy to see engaged with us a bit more this season have been Thomas Among and Kevin Partita, because those guys they're hilarious, and they're fun when you get them in front of camera, and they definitely have given us some good content so far this year.
I'm assuming they're one of those that like you have to pull it out of them, basically, like you have to like force them to talk, and then you'll get the gems, right?
I wouldn't say force by any means, but they definitely have warmed up to some of the content stuff that we do, and I mean we're hoping some things that we've done this season to just kind of keep doing more of the little behind the scenes stuff, and kind of questions to and from training and all that kind of stuff, because they definitely have given us some of the better responses to a lot of the things that we've done. So looking forward to keeping them involved as well.
And I'm hoping to get one more question for you as a local Orange County native. Where's your favorite place to get a pizza or Italian food, and why isn't our Cortina's in Anaheim? If it's not.
Man, that's a good question. To be fair, I personally have never been. So I'll put that on the list. Cortina's in Anaheim.
Cortina's in Anaheim. Okay,
I'll put that on the list. I'd say my favorite spot is here in Las Flores. It's called Cosmo's Italian Kitchen. It's got great pizza, good chicken parm, all the staples you could ask for. That's definitely one of my go-to Italian spots. North Italia in Irvine is also very good. So I'd say those two are definitely staples.
Edison, we have some fan questions, so I'm going to hit you with a few of them. Donut, bagel, croissant, which one is your favorite?
Man, on the everyday, I'd probably say a bagel. When I'm looking to treat myself a bit, I'll say a donut for sure.
I'll go one further. What style of donut are we grabbing?
Man, I'd say either a Boston cream donut or just plain glazed. One of those two.
I almost said, we know you're not going to get a Boston cream donut, and here you are. So,
I'm sorry to disappoint, but they definitely they're up there for me for sure.
I guess we'll allow it. Edison, IPA or blonde ale, and depending on answer, which one is your go-to?
Can I take both? I definitely would take both. But if I had to pick one, I'll go IPA, hazy IPA from Boat Shoes from Carl Strauss.
But you had all these Orange County breweries to pick from, and you picked the San Diego brewery.
It is true. I have a couple of good, things that I like. Obviously, the Decade of Goals last year, not to be too much of a homer, from Brewery X was awesome. Got to have that after a couple of our beer fests. Sometimes they'll stick around for the staff to come and get a few samples. So having that one last year was awesome for sure.
Awesome. Edison, I think to send you on your way out, we can see, for those of us watching or live right now, we can see where to find you on the internet, but where can we find what you do other than on Orange County socials?
That's probably where I'm most active. We got a great social team on board this year. Hayden, Michael, Kayla, Irving. We are doing our best to just kind of keep getting better every day. At Orange County Soccer on Instagram and on Twitter, and then we also have or at Orange County SC on Twitter. Excuse me. I am on Twitter. That's where I am most active at Edison LaCour for sure.
All right, Edison, before we kind of start wrapping things up here, I have to get it from you because I know that you're allowed to make score predictions. What do you have for Tuesday? What do you have for Saturday this week?
Hopefully, two wins. Obviously it's what, we always want. It's what the Coach Carlson has made clear in one of his post-game interviews, that it doesn't matter if it's on the road or, at home, they're always going to go for it. So I'll say, let's go with 2-2-1s, Tuesday and Saturday.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Edison. You're welcome to stick around as we kind of close things out. But if you want to take off, we totally get it.
Well, thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it. You guys have a good rest of the show. Appreciate you guys.
All right. Thank you for coming on, Edison. That was Edison from the front office staff at the Orange County Soccer Club. So we got a couple more minutes to kill. And I know we have a couple tickets that we got to give away to some lucky listeners for tomorrow night's game. I believe, and Andy, you can come on and correct me if I'm wrong. Each one of these spins, I think we have 5 is for a set of tickets and 1 coupon for a drink, either alcoholic or non-alcoholic.
Yeah, we got 5 packages of 2 tickets plus a 1 drink ticket. And I have all the names from social media where people follow directions, and we're just going to spin 5 times. I'll contact those people on social media to get an email from them, and then the club will handle it from there. And my understanding is they'll get the tickets electronically. They pick up their drink ticket at will call.
All right, awesome. Well, without further ado, let's get some of those spins going.
Let's go.
First up, it looks like Jen Wolf is our first winner.
This makes for great radio, so thanks everyone for bearing with us.
Next up, it looks like Mr. or Miss Fred Dog 416. Ooh, and then Jackie almost taking over to the next person. Jackie Love 5.7. Go ahead and spin. And while we're spinning, Matt, what's one thing you learned from this episode?
I guess I only watched some highlights of Louisville, so I didn't realize they played a back 3. I did notice that they attack very hard, and so I'm a little nervous for that game.
And congratulations to Joe Fig SVLF. Carlos, I'm going to ask you the same question.
What I learned, I did not know Edison was from Orange County. So it's kind of cool to hear that he's back home and helping kind of promote and do the social media for Orange County Soccer Club.
Awesome, and congratulations to Blake. And I believe that wraps up our 5 winners. Jen, Fred, Jackie, Joe, and Blake. Congratulations. If you guys are in the chat, we're going to reach out. And if you're listening later on, hopefully you guys have seen our DM on social media and enjoy the game live in person. Dylan, what's one thing you learned from this episode?
I learned that if you're really good at social media and Matchday production, you're going to have very, very bad taste in donuts. And Edison, I say that with as much respect as I can possibly muster.
At least he didn't say old-fashioned.
You can take that back, Matt. That is by far the best style of donut.
You just lost all credibility on this topic.
I had no credibility to begin with in any topic ever.
You know what? I'll go one step further than Dylan. I think no donuts is the correct answer. Bagels are by far the superior breakfast treat.
Croissant was the right answer. That's not even close.
I hope you enjoyed the one time that you got to host the show, Brad. It was so wonderful.
You know what? You can take it back for the next time that it's just you and me. One thing I learned tonight was, I also didn't know that Edison was local, and it's nice to hear a local boy's take on Orange County. Anybody have any random thoughts before we wrap things up today?
If anything, I'll just say if anybody wants to get any CLC merch, so County Line Coalition, I'm wearing a hoodie right now. Go to the Instagram page at County Line Coalition or County Line Coalition, and there's the link. There's a link there that says buy merch, and there's Matt's holding the hat. So they have two shirts, a black one and a gray one, the hoodie, and then the hat. And it's all being done by our partner, the County Project, who was able to make that apparel for us. So, check that out if you guys want some merch.
All right, Dylan, I saw you waving your hand there. What do you have for us?
I have some chaos for you. I have something to ask of you, something to have you think about, and something for you to read. I will start with something I ask of you, which is not to ask what your planet can do for you, but what you can do for your planet. I had a question. My time here in Texas, are there any more real cowboys? And finally, something for you to read from the New York Times 4 days ago, when a bunch of bloody Yanks came for English soccer. And enjoy that read. It should be available without a paywall for you. It's well worth the 10 or 15 minutes it will take you.
I'll do my best to read.
You got any
Random thought. I was driving the other day, and I was driving by this really nice building, a palace you might call it, and it was made of crystal, and it was just a beautiful crystal palace. So just
Very subtle. Very subtle. This show is not going to fall apart. For any children listening, leave them out.
Oh, you're so hurtful.
Chelsea coming for Tottenham. Screw you, Ray.
You know what? I was gonna end with sharing an album, but I don't think I can top that. Unlike Tottenham, who seems to be toppling. So, for Matt, for Carlos, for Dylan, for Benton, and for Edison, and for my lovely dog Wendy, this has been the Orange and Black Soccer Cast, and we are out.